Hi, today we were speaking to Colin Sapire on entrepreneurship. How are you, Colin?
I'm perfect. I'm very, very happy to be on your podcast and excited to get involved in the questions.
So, to start us off, can you tell us a bit about yourself and how you first got started into the world of entrepreneurship?
So I was born in Cape Town, lived there, moved to Port Elizabeth. Long story short, left with my girlfriend in 1986, finally arrived in the USA on a tourist visa. And I was in a situation where, as a new immigrant in the USA, I had to find a position. I had to, get an employment visa and things like that. So the struggle in getting to a new country and having to support yourself is not something that is easy. You don't have the support. Growing up in South Africa, we had a lot of support around us. And therefore, was put into a position where all of a sudden we had $800. We were sleeping on a friend's floor. We were, it was just tough. So I was desperate to be successful because I wanted to be independent. I wanted to make my own decisions and not rely on other people. So, and especially in a country like the USA, it's difficult if you don't have the means to support yourself well. So that was one of the critical reasons why I pushed and I worked very hard. The other important reason is that at school, I was insecure in Port Elizabeth. I was an insecure guy. I was shy. I was the sort of guy that, had to get up in class to do an oral speech or whatever. I used to stutter. I was scared of publicity. And therefore, one of the things that I needed to do for myself was to build up confidence. And through success and through achievement, whether it's marathon running, whether it's business, whatever it is, all that builds up confidence. And that allows for happiness, allows for you to lead a nicer life. So, not sure whether I'm getting to your exact question about why I got involved in entrepreneurship, but that's a basic background to where I come from and why I've really put a fortune of energy into achieving in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, you did answer the question and you touched on a few things which I think are very important. And one of them, you mentioned confidence. And your personality, for the most part, is one of the most crucial things, in my opinion, in achieving success in a business sector. It's the way you communicate with people, how you make deals come about, how you almost achieve that success in the business world. How crucial do you believe confidence has been in your success and overall in achieving success for people?
I believe that it's been critical. And the turning point in my career was when I realized that the people I thought were confident were actually not that confident because I had the hurdles to overcome. Once I overcame those hurdles, I had a much bigger, or I feel, a larger confidence level or a higher confidence level than most others. A lot of people are very good talkers and able to get out there and to convince a crowd. When you're unable to convince a crowd, you really have to just execute. So out there, I think we have talkers and doers. I don't think, I know. We have talkers and doers. And through doing and executing, I was able to become much more confident and more able to express myself. Generally, those that were excellent talkers also can achieve, but I feel overcoming all of our insecurities that we might have enables us to become obviously much more confident people.
Yeah, and can you be both? I mean, can you develop the traits of talking and being a doer?
The issue is that you bring up a very important point. We're all born into different countries with different genes. When you look at the populations around the world, you look at Samoa and you look at the people there, you look at Europe, you look at the Japanese, you look at all these different cultures around the world. We're all different. We don't have all the same solutions to become a better you. And therefore, we need to take what we have. We need to take those genes that we have and maximize on eventually what we're looking for is the most happiness in life. Whichever way we go, success is not only financial. Financial success gives you independence, but there's so much else to success that I'm not sure whether I answered your question again. So let me have that again.
I think you did answer it for the most part. I think I can change the topic a little bit when I'm talking about doers and talkers. I think it's important to acknowledge all these fundamentals that come into being a good entrepreneur in the business sector. And you mentioned happiness and how financial isn't always lead to happiness. And I'm going to discuss that later on in our interview. Are there any other fundamentals that you believe are needed in the business world, except for being a doer?
Yeah. So most importantly, and if you've looked at my background and whatever, I was not completely insecure, but I had, all of us have our inside insecurities that we don't talk about. And I think it's important to talk about that because a lot of people out there have those insecurities and things like that. So how I also overcame those insecurities was I was the sort of guy that when I prepared to go to work for the day, when I first got to the US or in Cape Town, South Africa, when I was working for an accounting firm, I had to put my mind and body into a strong position to meet and to do my best during that day. And the way that I found what I needed to do was to exercise. So I needed to sweat every day in order to perform at the optimum level. So through my young career, I used to wake up extremely early, go to sleep extremely early in order to get those 8 hours of sleep. But I used to go running through in Los Angeles through the Santa Monica Mountains and really get in 5, 6, 7 miles in order to sweat, come home, shower, and go into the office. My partner rolled out of bed, straight into his work clothes and into the office. He was able to make things happen without the exercise. I needed that exercise. So what I'm getting to is, as I got into my 40s and whatever, it leads to how we obtained the success with our business, because I needed nutrition. I did not go to, I didn't love vegetables. I didn't love healthy food. So I'd go to burgers and steaks and fries and everything else like a lot of us. And why I'm getting to this is that nutrition is the fuel that allows us to sleep better, to work better, to socialize better, and to do everything better. So for me, I needed that basis of strength. I needed to be able to look into the mirror and say, Colin, you're doing well. Now, it's not that I needed to look good. I needed to feel good inside. I needed to feel a strength and a confidence. And I got my confidence from being physically in shape, running marathons, achieving, and then I was able to perform exceptionally well in the workplace and achieve and have a lot of energy and strength and grit. Grit is a critical word in the business world because you are subject to failure all the time. And you do fail, and you need to get up and you need to move on, and you need to get through those hurdles that face us. So basically, my theory of my individual success is nutrition, exercise, allows for good sleep, good relationships, and everything else. That is my number one theory. Now, we all are different. And there are others that can achieve without that. But then what is achievement? Because those that achieve without being physically in good shape and mentally, therefore, in good shape, they do run out of steam when their health issues come into place and where they can't enjoy the success that they've achieved. So therefore, from my perspective, it's critical to the youth out there to understand that it all starts off with you. And that's easy to achieve. Business success is more difficult, but your physical being, your mental health results from being in good health, fit, and well. I'll finish there.
No, that was a great answer. You touched on a lot, and I'm going to come back to a few of the points you made. One of them being grit, and you mentioned that you go to bed early and wake up early. This is part of your routine, if I'm not mistaken. How else? What else is in your routine? I mean, how do you go through your routine every 24 hours and every day?
Yeah, so I want to go back to going to bed early. I found that the optimum hours in the day for me, where I could maximize, were the early morning hours from 4 to 8 a.m. I could deal with China, I could deal with the East Coast, South Africa, whatever the country was. You've got more time to do that sort of very, very quiet time. So I used to go to sleep 8, 9 o'clock and wake up at 4 o'clock, do all of my exercise, and very importantly, then in my later years, the last 15 years, I've made a blend of vegetables every morning and consumed 1,000 milliliters of pure vegetables and water. It takes me 30 seconds, and that's my fuel for the day. No matter what else I eat in the day, that is my basis for my strength and my nutrition that allows me to be able to have a hamburger in the evening. But getting back to that routine, it's going to sleep early, because what happens after 8, 9 o'clock at night to all of us? We sit on the television, we'll eat chips and biltong. You're relaxed and it's all nice and everything else, but it's not effective hours. If you go to sleep and get those 8 hours or 7.5 hours, and you wake up and it's quiet out there, and you can enjoy nature, and you can enjoy exercise and then nutrition. When you've had that shower before you go into the office or wherever you work from, you're so much better prepared than the guy who's been up until midnight watching a whole series of TV shows.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm going to go back to your previous answer with grit as well. And I think grit is what allows people to wake up at 4 a.m. and go to bed at 9 a.m. and organize their life in this way. How can individuals develop this term of grit, and why is it crucial to develop grit to becoming success?
Because out there, unfortunately, it's not easy. There's a lot of obstacles to success. So in achieving success, it's just your ability to overcome hurdles. If you can continue overcoming hurdles, you're eventually going to have that success that you're looking for. And therefore, grit to me, and it's difficult, it's not easy. And I think that we all have different makeups, genes, and whatever. So some of us are not suited to the business environment which require grit. Some people have it easy and they might not have hurdles along the way. But in my experience, there's been a lot of hurdles along the way that we've had to overcome. And it's your strength, your physical strength, your mental strength, the way that your blood flows. It's how efficient your brain is, how well fueled it is, that allows you to get through this grit. So I go back to nutrition and exercise and sleep and all of that sort of stuff to get to all the reasons why I've obtained success.
Yeah,
and that grit is also, I think it is, my mom has grit. Yeah, my father didn't have grit, but my mom was someone who was extremely strong, was a strong business lady, wasn't socially active or, the greatest social person, but she had grit, and she'd stick in there and fight and fight and fight. So when you're talking about what is grit, it all depends on who we are as to how much grit we have. But if we prepare ourselves better, we'll have more ability to get through those hurdles.
Yeah, and you've mentioned nutrition and all this sort of thing, and you've created a brand called Beast Health, which emphasizes the combination of elegance and high-performance technology. How important is the balance between aesthetics and functionality when it comes to creating products that resonate with your consumers, particularly young people?
The reason why we've created this product, that's made by our company called Beast Health is because going back, my earlier experience, well, I founded NutriBullet in the early days, in the early 2000s. And the reason for developing that NutriBullet was because I was not consuming enough vegetables and fruits. So that was the first form and function that we developed in those days, which was brand new to the marketplace. So it was innovation. We sold that in 2018, and I had a partner in that. I needed to get out on my own to develop a product which we've developed today, which is the Beast Blender. And the design, and obviously the technology and the performance and everything else, is executed on because of everything I've just said about, nutrition, fueling yourself for success. And therefore, when we went about and designed this product, we designed it in such a way that people could leave it out on the countertop, because to us, the importance of consuming nature's food is critical to everyone's lives, no matter how successful they want to be or what type of lives they lead. Our belief is that nature designed you, nature designed me. Whoever's out there, when you look at their form factor, it wasn't designed by a marketer or a factory. Our heart, our lungs, our everything else. Nature designed vegetables. They designed the carrot with the nutrients, with the vitamins, with the leaves that have extreme nutrients in them, or a lot of nutrients in them. Nature wanted us to consume what nature designed for us to consume. We've moved on to processed foods and to animals that are filled with medication, antibiotics, and all of that sort of stuff. And therefore, what we're doing today, I feel a passion. You can tell I've got a passion for what we do. And that's one of the reasons for success, is having a passion for the products or whatever you do on a day-to-day basis. Because I can do this 24/7, no matter how successful I am. I come back to the passion that I have for designing delivery systems that allow people to consume more of nature's food. So getting back to the design of the product, the design of the product is such that you can leave it out on your countertop and you use it every day. Because people go and buy Nike sneakers, or tackies, as we'd call them in South Africa, maybe. I'm not sure whether you still use that term. But in the old days, it was called tackies. So they'll go and spend a lot of money on a pair of sneakers in order to look good. But what we're trying to develop, or what we have developed, is an appliance that you can keep out on your countertop that allows you within seconds to take vegetables, coconut water, whatever you want to add in, drink it down within a minute, and you're ready to start your day. So to us, that's the critical reason why we're in business, is because we believe in what we're selling. In the old days, thousands of years ago, people used to use a mortar and pestle. We've just developed that blender today, so that what nature intended us to do, the vegetables, the fruits, and the meat that we used to hunt, not used to farm, but used to hunt, to get us to eat more of nature's food.
Yep. So first of all, congratulations for your product. I mean, it really is amazing. I'll definitely be buying myself one of those blenders in the near future. And second of all, you mentioned the word passion, which is a huge aspect of success, and wanting to do the work and wanting to put in the hours to try achieve the success. How important is finding a passion in a business that you build to achieve the success? How important is it?
Yeah, it's a very difficult question because, I was a CPA in my earlier days. I was an accountant. I studied accounting because I knew I wanted to travel the world and live in different places. And the one thing I could move around the world with was an accounting degree. It's more difficult with a law degree, with whatever. So I did accounting, and I hated it. Doing accounting for me was a prison. Every day that I practiced as an accountant, I'd feel like I needed to get out. I was not happy. There's people that enjoy that sort of work. And therefore, I was so lucky when I found an opportunity to take something that we had developed in the early days, which was our little magic bullet, which just made little smoothies. I was able to take that and develop that into a machine that allowed you to consume more nutritional whole foods, nature's foods, and whatever. So that passion with my experience has allowed me to, if I was still involved in the accounting world, would I be successful? No. Finding the passion for me allowed me to grow and to wake up earlier, to be involved in nutritional studies, which I really love, to watch people's success in using our product, to see them transform their lives. It just brings a completely different feel to your day when you're passionate about what you do. You can tell I'm telling you about all of this. And if I was telling you about an accounting statement or a FASB or whatever they refer to as, there'd be no passion.
Yeah. No,
and
100%.
there'd be no thought. So when I go on a run or a mountain bike, I'm thinking of what we're doing all the time because I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned that you studied accounting, which you said you hated. And it's an argument that I've had with my parents and the people around me constantly, which is about the system, the school system, university, and all sort of stuff. How crucial has university and the school system been in helping you achieve your success in the entrepreneurship world?
That it has helped. It is important because the most important thing that we do when we study is all data out there is critical. I believe in not using all of that data, but I believe in knowing as much as we can, having as much knowledge. If you use the knowledge that your professors or whatever are lecturing to you, and sometimes I'll go as far as brainwashing you with, because when you get out of that MBA class or the accounting class or whatever, you now are brainwashed to believe that that's how you need to do it. And that, I believe, is you need to take as much as you can of that. Learn from all the studies out there amongst very successful role models, but don't follow them. Use that information where you believe that there's something within what that role model's done or the professor has taught you. Use it. I'm not saying just throw it away, but I'm saying keep your mind open to what you feel is innovative and different, and don't be afraid of going and not following the pattern, because we all know that we're on this earth and we follow like sheep. So when we follow social norms out there and we live in a certain way, that's very restrictive over our ability to succeed. I really believe that these social norms that we've set out for ourselves extremely limit what people's enjoyment of life, not just success. So, yeah, that's my theory when it comes to education. The mind needs to be exercised. Math is fantastic. Understanding what's going on in the world is critical to our success, but how we use it is what determines how successful we are. And I just want to finish off on one thing. A lot of us at school, there were bright kids who went on to be actuaries and doctors, and that's great, but that wasn't for me. Yeah. I was more of a rebel who didn't really study hard. And what that allowed me to achieve was I was able then to take risk. My friend who was an actuary earns a salary. He prepared himself and took insurance at a young age and went into a profession. He's probably very happy today, but he wasn't able to achieve, the different type of success which I probably achieved. That, I think, is a very important thing. You make a decision as a kid. Do I want to take insurance now, become a doctor, a lawyer, this, that? Or do I want to... the education's great, but there's those two different paths of enjoying life. I was a rebel at university. It took me a little bit longer, But when I got out there, eventually I found that I had more opportunities to do different things rather than obviously the doctor, the actuary, and the whatever.
Yep. So I'm gonna create a hypothetical situation just to so I can try find the answer to this. Is let's say someone has a business idea in high school or in their early 20s in university, and they have this degree and they have to decide: do I want to spend 10 hours on this degree and 5 hours on the idea? How would you recommend someone goes about doing that? Would you recommend they don't do the degree and focus purely on the business, or 50-50? How would you? What advice would you give to those types of individuals?
You know that when you ask those sort of questions, there's no one answer.
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah.
depending on the individual and what they're looking for in life and how the comfort level that they have with risk. But what it really gets to overall in life is the very important thing of developing common sense. And common sense in business everywhere, in your decision making with family and everything, is critical. There's a lack of common sense out there. But when it comes to whoever the individual is and they're at school and they have a great idea, take it to the maximum. Try and do both, obviously. Try and keep your insurance of your education and everything going. But at the same time, whatever that business idea is, develop it out with others. Do investigations, find out about financing, marketplace, and everything else, and grow it to the point where you need to make that difficult decision. And I think at that time, you just have to be strong enough to accept that you're giving up the alternative of the insurance versus what you're really passionate about possibly doing. So it's not easy and it's different for everyone. It depends on, as we were talking about earlier, who we are and our ability to face risk.
Yeah, and when looking at the modern world today compared to where you were as a teenager or early 20-year-old, how would you compare the opportunities in our society today, and how can teenagers capitalize on these opportunities to create a name for themselves in the business world?
That depending on the industry that you're in, I know our industry, small appliances, and I can talk to that. I can't talk to the banking, the investment world, the everything else. So I really am very, very focused on what I do because I love it, and I don't need to spend my time worrying about the finance world and the accounting world today and everything else. But there's always opportunities, I feel, as long as you're on the lookout for doing something different to what others are doing. And it's not easy to find, but in my world, and I can talk to that, is that when we look at all of the larger bureaucratic companies that are involved, very corporate in our area, in blenders, in small appliances and things like that, they generally just come out with a new color every year. They don't think of new technology. They're too risk averse. And if you love something like nutrition, like I do, I'm developing new product that will allow people to consume more whole foods. So therefore, I go to that, but in every different area of whatever people are involved in, they need to have a passion for what they're doing and look at that and say, this is what everyone is doing all the time. That's what my professor told me what to do. How else can we look at that? If I had to go into, and this might sound crazy, outside of our Earth, outer space, and look back and try and analyze what's going on there and look at it with that viewpoint of how can I disturb? How can I do something differently? Yes, I believe you need a passion for that, but I believe that you need to, again, take all the data, come up with innovation, and believe in it and have a passion for it.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, I've read a lot of books on entrepreneurship in trying to become a decent entrepreneur in 20 years to come when I'm 30 years old. I mean, I'm only 16, as I've mentioned. Failure is one of the main discussions to be had when it comes to businesses and in the business world. Can you share an example of a failure or mistake that you've been involved in, if you have been involved in, how you've been able to overcome these?
Yeah, my biggest failure is we built a very, very successful business, doing a lot of revenue and a lot of EBITDA. And the reason why I started a business rather than went to work for a big, large bureaucratic corporate in a big, large corporate environment was that I hated politics. And one of my biggest failures was in our NutriBullet Capital Brands company, which was extremely successful, that I allowed the organization to become political. Now, yes, that's after achieving success, but there's a lot of other examples of failure. In our new environment, we're all very hands-on, and there's no such thing as a CEO doing only this sort of work, or the social media person doing only social media. My belief has been an openness to the people and the team working with me, as we are all team members and equals almost. That environment, I allowed that to go in another direction. I had a partner and I had issues, with the environment that was developed. So that was failure to me. Now, yes, you have product failure. You can have a launch of a product. You can have, a financing decision can be not the best decision at the time. But as you see that failure, you need to understand it and react accordingly. And hopefully not to let that failure to become too large that can affect you almost permanently. Generally, failures, if you got your eyes open, you can watch out for them. And as long as you're reactive in business, you can get over that hurdle.
Yep, 100%. And when balancing work and your personal life, how do you go about balancing your personal life and your work life?
That it goes through ebbs and flows. So it's really important, obviously, to myself. I've got two lovely daughters who, have great guys and stuff like that. So it was very, very difficult in the early days where I really had to put in, almost 24/7 into what I was building. And my wife took over and really, our partnership in life has been very successful. So that partnership with my wife has allowed for us to flourish and for me to take on that effort when it was necessary to allow for our personal lives to stay on track and to be strong. So it's, again, common sense. As you're going through the process, you need to decide when to allocate more time to your personal life. But I think as long as you are doing what I spoke about earlier, which is staying in good health, staying fit, and I believe from doing that, mentally staying strong and in control, you can watch what's going on around you because you're in good control of what's going around you, and make decisions with common sense. So there's no set rule, but physical activity and getting out and whatever it is, bird watching, mountain biking, marathon running, having interests in conjunction with your business passions, I think is critical.
Yeah, and you mentioned at the beginning of our interview how important happiness is in achieving success, and that people define success differently. What is your personal definition of success?
My personal definition of success is that it has to allow you a quality of life that is what, you're looking for a certain quality of life. And what we're all looking for is, I derive my happiness from the work that I do with the team that I work with. So I've surrounded myself with amazing people that I have the opportunity to work with every day, and I'm honored to work with every day because we are all coming up with new ideas and we all love what we do. So that during the day brings happiness, even though we are working and even though it is stressful, we allow ourselves to get through those hurdles because we've got a really, really cool team working together. So that happiness is in the work environment. And then outside of that, obviously, I believe that you touch very few people in your life, even though it might seem like you could be at university and there's thousands of people walking around and you know a lot of people and everything else, but there's very few people that you spend a lot of time with. And I think it's very important to find the right people to spend a lot of time with and to treat those people well. And that, to me, we emigrated from South Africa many, many years ago, and it's the good friends that have helped support us through the difficult times. Those good friends and those friendships that you've nurtured over the years are critical to your well-being and success at a later time. It's your family, how you react to them, and how you, family, friends, hobbies, exercise, nutrition.
Yeah, and then to end us off, if you could go back and say one thing to your 16-year-old self, what would that be?
I would say that it would be exercise, success in physical achievement. My heroes are the guys out there that achieve the optimum physical success from events and things like that. We've sponsored marathons before under the name NutriBullet. The LA Marathon for 6 years. I've met with people that are in wheelchairs and that have done, 102-mile runs in their wheelchairs in South America, over mountains, all sorts of stuff. The stories that you hear about physical achievement and people able to just do phenomenal things and to do Ironmans and things like that. And that's why I went straight into promoting the LA Marathon and being the second sponsor to ASICS. And you'll see our NutriBullet distributor in South Africa, had the Bay to Bay, the NutriBullet Bay to Bay. Everything, the culture was be physically strong. And therefore, what I would have loved to have done at the age of 16 is devoted a lot more of my time, my future time, to getting to physically achieve a lot more than I have achieved.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much. And I really do appreciate this opportunity to have a discussion with you. So thank you.
No problem, Ben. It's been fantastic.